I realize that at some point this past generation, Microsoft had some problems. You know, we all made excuses for him, Terry Myerson this or funding that, but funding didn't stop Microsoft from purchasing Minecraft for $2.5 billion during the Terry Myerson era. So I find it hard to believe that they couldn't find another, $20 million to finish Scalebound or $5 million to do a proper Phantom Dust remake, which is what that developer was asking for. So it makes it kind of hard to believe, kind of hard to understand a lot of the things that Microsoft has done, closing down studios, obviously letting a studio like Twisted Pixel go. They were a smaller studio that did some pretty good things for Microsoft, and then Microsoft just let them go, along with all their IP. Microsoft gave up the Toy Soldiers IP as well. Now they've given up the publishing rights to Alan Wake. It's hard being an Xbox fan when you sit there and some of the games that you genuinely like, maybe they weren't the best games, right? But Rise, Son of Rome, Quantum Break, Alan Wake, well, that was last gen, but they did do a 4K update to it, so there was hope that we might see something from that in the future. So they do all that, and, it's just hard knowing that we will never see sequels to the games that we wanted. The Sunset Overdrives, Microsoft just continued to let us down, and that's really kind of hard to deal with when you look over at the competition and you see a game like Days Gone. It scored okay with a 72 Metacritic. The game is actually much better than the score, but you know that game's going to get a sequel, and that Sony trusts that developer to do their own thing. When you look at being an Xbox fan, we don't know what we're going to get, when we're going to get it, and when it's going to be announced, if it's going to be announced. We do know that they do tend to go more towards games as a service or online component games, loot boxes, and this kind of thing. So it's been a bit kind of weird this generation, because it started off on such a bad note with the DRM and stuff, but I didn't even get into Xbox for that stuff, right? So when people ask me, why are you into Xbox? Man, they really killed it with that initial lineup of games, but knowing that we won't get another Killer Instinct or a Rise or, it's really kind of befuddling to me. I don't understand it. They let Titanfall go. That should have been an Xbox exclusive. It really would have paid off to do something great for Xbox fans. Instead, there is literally nothing. If you were to ask me what's there to look forward to as an Xbox fan, right? What's there to look forward to as an Xbox fan? What would you say is the must-own game on Xbox One this generation? And the truth is, there is none. Microsoft is propping up indies, and I get it, because not all indies are bad, but we're at a point where we're flooded with the market with indies, and there's so many bad ones, and we didn't buy a 6 teraflop console to play these type of games. I know these type of games, the problem that Microsoft mainly has, it all boils down to first party, and you might go, well, they're fixing that, but are they really? If a lot of their studios are making AA games, isn't that just adding to the problem that we have right now? The lackluster games, the AA mentality. The reason why games like State of Decay 2, aside from being mediocre, score so badly is because we go long periods without exclusives, and then there's nothing to buffer the exclusives, right? So these AAs get the spotlight shined on them, instead of, having a State of Decay 2 release between a Halo and a brand new AAA IP, where it maybe wouldn't have scored so bad. It's in the spotlight by itself because it's the first one that releases in 10 months, and so the spotlight shines brightly on it. So it is a bit of a problem, and that's the same thing with these indies. There's nothing inherently wrong with indies, but we've gotten to the point where so many of them are bad, and they release so many of them. It's hard telling which ones are the good ones, and that's a bad thing. You got to have some kind of quality control. It's something that I genuinely liked about the Xbox 360, and now it seems like Sony, they're going out of their way to prop up AAA games, whether it be exclusive or multiplats, and kind of putting the indies on the back burner. And I gotta say, I really appreciate that, because it's getting to the point where you get inundated with some of these indies that are just terrible and have probably no place on the marketplace to begin with. So at some point this generation, Microsoft decided to call it a day and switch it to where they were more focused on services and software. And you might go, well, Microsoft always like that, but to give up completely on a generation the way they did and actually stop game creation for years, I feel like that's incredibly piss poor on their part. So I am incredibly disappointed that they've done that. And just when you see Phil Spencer interviews and he says he doesn't care about console sales and doesn't even care if we buy his console, and then you see Sony and they're like, hey, buy our console. And then with the games with gold games just getting worse and worse, and Sony actually listens to their fans, it's going to be hard to kind of push Xbox or say Xbox is going to be the choice. You know what I mean? I don't see Xbox as being the choice. I see Xbox as being probably third place next gen as well. So, you know, at some point, Microsoft is going to have to take a step back and realize that console gamers matter, and that like the streaming stuff, while a good additional thing, should never be a focus. And I think maybe take a page out of Sony's book and, you know, let people enjoy the console. Like Xbox is a console, not a service, not an app. You know, that kind of stuff loses people, and I've complained about this since 2014. I did a video, said they're losing me as a customer if they continue to go this route, and they continue to go the route. So it's really hard to kind of defend them and to look up to them when I see them continuing to sort of do this type of the way that they act. You know, I just don't understand why they're doing this, and you know, it's unfortunate because at this particular time, Microsoft should really be going out of their way to prove to us that they can make games, that make quality games. When you look at just the quality of their games, and you might think they're kind of fun, right? You might think Sea of Thieves is fun, and I like Sea of Thieves. You might think Crackdown 3 is fun, or State of Decay 2 is fun, or ReCore is fun, but you can't deny that the quality just isn't there the way that it is for Sony's exclusives. Like, the quality is just unheard of and unmatched, and it's really kind of lets me down when you see that that Sony continues to out-hustle Microsoft at every turn. And Microsoft, you would think, would learn from their mistakes of last generation, and they realistically haven't actually done that. So that is a bit weird when you look at it, right? Because we all want Microsoft to do well, we all want Sony to do well. I feel like it's one of those things where we need these companies to be competitive with each other, but I'm just not sure that they are going to be competitive with each other. I think that Sony is going to blow Microsoft away just completely, and I feel like I feel like that's not going to be good for us as gamers. So I do feel a little bit kind of upset and disheartened by the fact that, you know, Microsoft is sort of going this route where they don't look at Sony as competition. And I feel like Microsoft picked wrongly, by the way, that wrongly that Sony isn't their competition, right? So what I mean by that is, Microsoft looks at Stadia as their competition, but I think Stadia is just doomed to fail. And I think they put too much resources and effort into that. People like consoles and sitting back with a controller. I mean, yes, there's PC gamers and they enjoy that, but if you're a console gamer, you have a certain type of way that you enjoy gaming. While when you look at Sony and their internals, they're like, we don't see Nintendo as competition, we don't see Stadia as competition, our only competition is Xbox. Why doesn't Microsoft do the same thing? I think that would mean competition versus competition. It's good for everyone. The way that Microsoft does it is kumbaya, everybody's great, everybody's happy, and I don't think that works out well for everybody, particularly me. I don't like it. I think Microsoft could do much better if they actually took the competition, seriously. And the fact that they don't is very frustrating. You know, it's very frustrating, and I don't understand why they continue to sort of just ignore console fans, right? We're console fans, and I think that we have a place in this, a pretty big place. And the fact that they refuse to acknowledge us and sometimes just outright ignore us kind of annoys me and ticks me off, you know. And I just wish that they would listen and kind of wise up, because they really killed this particular YouTuber's hype and love for a brand, you know. And you can probably tell in my voice, it's not fake, it's not anything like that, it's just 100% truth. They've killed my hype. I have absolutely no expectations going into any Microsoft event, any Xbox event. I have literally zero hyper expectations, and that's unfortunate. Why is that? Why do I have to lower my expectations to the point of nothing because Microsoft continues to let us down and not give us what we asked for? You know, I don't think it's I don't think it's a good thing, to be honest with you. So I would love to see Microsoft be able to rebound from this. What I'm afraid once their things kind of fail once xCloud fails and this kind of thing. I think that might be the end of Xbox altogether, which I'm not looking forward to. I would rather see them be able to do something and achieve what we all want them to achieve, and that's to be competitive and to find that spark and to get back involved in that competition with Sony. And that's going to give us better games and services and things like that. The more consoles you sell, the more services and subscriptions and software you can sell. So it never makes sense to me. Is it too late for Xbox? I don't know. I really hope that Microsoft steps up and listens to some of the fans, but I doubt that they do. Let me know what you guys think. Rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.